You're listening to another ambitious entrepreneurnetwork.com podcast, the voice for entrepreneurs and small business. Now, onto the show.
Welcome to the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast, daily conversations with Christian entrepreneurs to inspire and empower Christian business owners to walk strongly in their faith, while build a thriving business that honors Him in every way. Now, over to your host, Anne-Marie Cross.
Welcome to another episode of the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast. My name is Anne-Marie Cross, the podcasting queen. This is episode 42. My guest today says, thankfully, God's timing is far better than our own. And if we did everything in our own timing while waiting for the time to be right, nothing of worth would probably ever happen in our lives. And I'm sure you can agree with that too. You have to have faith that God will always provide for you as long as you put one foot in front of the other. And most of the time, He just requires us to take action. Joining me on today's show is Megan Pennypacker. She is a business coach for Christian women who want to start or grow their online businesses. She helps newer coaches and consultants and other service-based business owners build businesses that they love from the foundations of mindset and finding your ideal client, all the way through to website, marketing, funnels, and Facebook ads, all of that good stuff. She's been a follower of Christ since she was a young girl. She's a wife and a mom of 3 from Oklahoma in the United States, and she loves coffee. Now, on today's show, Megan is going to share how we can transform obstacles into opportunities, why meditating and manifestation without God is deceptive, as well as how giving thanks in hard times can lead to supernatural peace and so much more. So welcome to the show, Megan.
Thank you so much, Anne-Marie. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Excited for you to be here too. And it's interesting, before we pressed record and sharing live on Facebook, we mentioned that there was another guest today talking around similar lines that you're adding value to. And I think we can never hear enough about the various topics that we're speaking about today. So I think there's some real powerful message, or a powerful message in what you want to share and what you are going to share today. One of the things that I do for all of my guests is give them an opportunity just to share a little bit of insights about how this business came to be. Was it something that had always been planted on your heart, or have you found that the experiences, situations that God has led you down in your life has really led you down the path to creating this business?
Thank you. Thanks for giving me this opportunity. Yes, I never wanted to do this. I actually just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and a wife all of my life, even since I was a young girl.
Mm-hmm.
I never wanted to go to college. I just knew that I wanted to be a mom and wife. And I was really good at school. I did well, made good grades, and I was the good girl. But I didn't want to go to college, and I didn't want to spend that time and money on what I knew I was not going to do in the future. So this really came about organically and kind of randomly. My husband had 3 back surgeries when my son was 2 years old. He got hurt at work and had to be off work for over a year. And during that time, I tried different ways online to earn money. And some of that was in an MLM business, which can be awesome, but I had no clue what I was doing. And I am very introverted naturally. And so I didn't have an outlet to kind of work that in the right way. And then I also tried taking online paid surveys, which I never actually got paid for. So I ended up thinking that all online jobs were scams. But shortly after that, my husband was able to go back to work. And in 2015, I think it was around February, I was searching online. And what I wanted more than anything was time freedom with my family, because my husband has had hard manual labor jobs pretty much his whole working life. And we didn't see him a whole lot. My son would cry tears and just say, "I miss daddy. And when is daddy coming home?" And it was just heartbreaking to see him going through that. And I was desperate for kind of a relationship that I felt like a single mom in a way, that I didn't have a whole lot of time with him. And I was so wanting that time freedom and money freedom as well, but more time freedom. So I was looking on YouTube, and by a chance search, I found this family who had moved to Costa Rica, and it was a family of 7, I think, at the time, and they had been able to find freelance work. And I had no idea that freelance work outside of copywriters and journalists existed. And so I got into it that way. They recommended a course and I took it, and that was that. About a month later, I had an online business. I was able to put up a website, and yeah, I've been serving clients ever since.
Wow, the rest is history, as they say. Isn't it incredible how opportunities, when you start to hear of other people's stories and journeys, it kind of plants a seed and starts nurturing a seed that you think, wow, maybe that's possible for me too. Now, we know as business owners that things can be flowing smoothly, and yet there can be bumps along the way, obstacles and challenges. In fact, sometimes it just seems to be challenge after another. And it's really important that we don't let those challenges and obstacles derail us, particularly as we think we're Christian business owners. We feel that we are living our purpose, we're really contributing to the kingdom in the business that we're creating, and of course the support that we're offering our clients. So what insights can you share today? Maybe there's some obstacles you've been able to turn into opportunities, but what insights today for someone who may be struggling, going through that season in their business where there are a lot of obstacles, a lot of challenges? What would you like to share with them today?
I would love to tell you that with God, anything is possible. And just start where you are right now. If you have a skill and you have a full-time 9-to-5 job, then start with whatever skill you're learning and using in that job. And you can just take what you already know, and just find a way to translate that into online work. So you can start there. And also, don't be so ready for online work that you're willing to take on just any client once they start coming to you. Because once you get them in the door, that's great. But then once you start working with them, then they will expect from you things that maybe you aren't up for. And if you're not in alignment with what they believe, and if they're not in alignment with what you believe, that's going to cause some problems, and it's just going to make it worse later on. So you do kind of need to be picky about who you take on so that it's beneficial for both of you in the long run. So think long term.
Yeah, that can be really a challenge, can't it, for business owners, particularly when we're starting. If we're just new in our business, any opportunity is one that we think, okay, I will take on opportunities. However, as you said, that can sometimes really become a challenge because you realize that they're not your ideal client and you're not able to do your best work. What were some of the things, maybe some questions that you worked through, or maybe there were some activities or steps that you took to help you really clearly define who was your ideal client, who you wanted to work with? What were some of the things that were really powerful for you? Because sometimes even getting to that stage, who is my ideal client, is difficult for some people. So what helped you to define your ideal client?
What helped me was I took quite a few online courses that actually dealt with this, and I'm thankful that the very first one I took happened to cover this, because if it hadn't, I don't know where I would be now. But originally, my ideal client was completely different than what it is right now, because I started out doing virtual assisting and digital marketing because that's what I knew at the time. So I started out serving men, like corporate type men, it seemed like, and that was my ideal client. And I don't know where that came from. That's just what it was. And so I had a completely different ideal client. But as time went on and I was working with clients, I discovered what my true ideal client is. And currently that is serving Christian women. So it's completely different, but it's okay. It can evolve over time, and just go with it. Go with the flow and just take what you're ready for and go with it. So an ideal client exercise that I walk my clients through is to wake up as your ideal client. So pretend that you are sleeping in a bed and you wake up and suddenly you're your ideal client. So what does that ideal client do? Well, they They might put on their slippers. They might go to the closet. What's in that ideal client's closet? What do they wear? What are their shoes? And what do they do throughout their day? Where would they go on vacation? Do they have kids, or are they single, or are they just married and single? So what is your ideal client?
Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes stepping into the shoes of your ideal client, there are things that you come up with that you would never have dreamed would be possible. And that really becomes part of, and I want you to speak a little bit about this too, because sometimes, as business owners, we can assume that our message captures the heart and soul and the information that really speaks to our ideal client. Yet it's not till we really start to think, live and breathe almost, if you will, on what they're experiencing, what they're going through, what they're worried about, what are they challenged with, that we can actually start to really capture that in our message to really speak to them. Have you found that to be true as well?
Yes, I have. And doing market research, while it's kind of nerve-wracking to put out there that you're thinking of doing this program or you're thinking of starting up this business, doing that market research and sending out just a simple survey asking your ideal client what they need from you and what they would expect from you, how much they would pay for this. And not only getting those answers and that feedback, but also looking at the language they use. So what are they saying? What terms are they using? And also, if you're in the personal development space, let's say you're a coach or a mindset coach, and you want to find out what kind of language they're using so you can use that in your copywriting, your messaging. You can go to Amazon and look up a book like The Big Leap. That's a book that is known for mindset and overcoming your upper limit problems. So you could go to Amazon and look up some reviews on that book and see the reviewers who have left really helpful feedback on that, and see what kind of language they're using so you can use that in your copywriting. And that will really be helpful to draw your ideal client in.
Yeah, that is such a great tip. And that's one that I learned many years ago from one of my mentors, copywriting mentors, because so often as business owners, what we do is we assume, don't we? Or maybe we think that we're our ideal clients. So we kind of use the words that we think would resonate with us, but it's not till we start to do the research and going on to Amazon and getting that feedback, and even watching, observing, and just hanging out on various Facebook groups where your ideal client it congregates or associates with their community is a great way to really start to observe and see what they say too. You mentioned that initially you're working with corporate men, and then you transitioned to women who were in business, or women but who were Christian. Was there something that prompted you to decide, you know what, I'd really love to work with them? Or was it just something that you started working with clients and you recognized, you know what, the similarity is that these women are Christian, and you obviously really loved the work that you were doing with them? Did you kind of experience that process, or how did you really define, this is who I want to really work with now?
Yes, it just came about by jumping in and working with clients. So initially I did have more clients that were men, and then I started working with more and more women. And then it got to women who were Christian because they were finding me on Google, which was amazing. And they were searching for a Christian virtual assistant, and my name would come up and they would find me. So I really loved working with them because I didn't have to not talk about my faith as much, or I didn't have to tell them that I wasn't comfortable doing this quote that had to do with an idol, like a false god, because I had to do that a couple of times with other ones. I was designing graphics, and there were quotes from false gods on there, supposedly. So I wanted to make sure that we were in alignment, and it wasn't going to work out long term if I didn't have those Christian women. And my branding was completely more masculine. I did have brand colors and everything, but my branding was way different. And I got into the more feminine branding, and I figured that would probably be more suitable for Christian women. And it's really worked out well. And I think this is much more me But yeah, you can just find what suits you as you go along.
Yeah. What I love about how you've shared that journey is that you really are taking action. Exactly what you said. Sometimes we need to take that movement first, and then God will show us, direct us through various people that we meet, through situations that just feels uncomfortable for us. And when we need to question, is this really where I want to place myself? Because sometimes as business owners, and maybe this is just me in the past, we want everything to be perfect first. We want to really have that captured. Who is my ideal client before we start to get out there and actually offer our services and work with people? But it is in the getting out there, working with people, and really seeing, where is it best that I place my expertise and who I support. And often as we're building that momentum, that gets clearer for us. So it doesn't happen overnight. It's certainly a process, and one I'm sure that you definitely accompanied with prayer and direction. I want to shift that focus a little bit more, and I spend some time on that because I know as business owners, this can be something that we often struggle with. And it's not till we define that clear message that clearly speaks to our ideal client that we can build momentum. So it's been really useful, I know, for many people listening and watching today. You talk about meditating and manifestation, words that I'm sure many people see branded all over the internet. But what you say is that without God, that is deceptive. What do you mean by that?
So meditation apart from God is just focusing, it's more about self. So when you're meditating on God's word, that's one thing, and that's what he wants us to do. But if you're trying to manifest something out of your own power, then that is supernaturally affecting circumstances to control what you want. And God says that he will give you the desires of your heart. And we're not to just follow our hearts. The heart is deceptive and deceitful. And that's what it says in the Bible. We should be trusting God, and he will give us the desires of our hearts. And we should be praying to him, not just seeking our own power and our own will to pop out a mansion or something. It's not just about us. It's about God doing the good for those who love him according to his will.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say that that's something that I follow and hold near and dear to my heart as well. And I think, sometimes as business owners, again, if we are, our business is really going to support the growth of our family and our lifestyle, it can be really easy to fall into the trap, isn't it, of when we see what other people are doing. And we need to be mindful, particularly as Christian business owners, I feel, in what we are allowing ourselves to listen to, who we are associating with, all that kind of stuff, because it can be very deceiving. I'd love for you to share with us, when you look back to perhaps the times that you were working in, maybe with some clients that you really felt uncomfortable, to the time that you made a decision, you said, you know what, as a Christian business owner, these are the clear values, these are the clear direction that I have been given as a way to live my life. What's happened for your business if you compare the two? What's happening now that you've really, put the flag in the sand, if you will, and really holding true to those beliefs?
Oh, it is so much more joyful. It's like finding your soulmate client. It's just, there's no words to describe it. Like, I have found so many clients who believe exactly what I believe, and we're encouraging each other through the books that we're reading and through worship songs. And there's just no way that you could do that with a client who isn't a Christian and doesn't have those same beliefs. And not that every business owner should serve only Christians, and that's not at all what I'm saying. But when you find those soulmate clients, then you lift each other up, and it's not a one-way street of faith.
Yeah, and I think where for me, and share for you what is a guiding light, if you will, or something that keeps you focused, is, as you said, absolutely, we can do work with non-Christians, and you've probably got a lot of friends who and people that you know too who are non-Christians too, and you respect one another to, and sometimes agree to disagree, if you will. I know that I certainly do. But then there are various clients or potential clients who have approached me, and I know that if I was to support them, what they stand for and their values are not only completely against mine, it's almost having me turn away from my values, if you will. And I'll give you an example that I gave on another podcast. One of my colleagues, she's a social media strategist, and her values are so strong against, non-abusive animals. So even if a makeup brand were to come to her to say, and she loves makeup, to say, we would love you to manage our brand, and if she knew that they tested on animals, she would say no. And sometimes as Christians, we need to be clear in that as well, don't we? To say, you know what, I'm standing firm on these values, because we don't want to jeopardize that. Is that something that's come up for you too in your business?
It has, and I have been able to work with them. I haven't really had it come up as where we go ahead with the process. If a client would come, a potential client would come to me and say that they wanted to work together, then we would definitely get on a discovery call, but it's never happened to where they actually come on as a client, because it just seems like God guides it a different way. And if they wanted to come on, that's fine, but I'm still going to pray with you like I do for every single other one of my clients. And you're still going to go through the same program. I can't just build a whole new program. So you're going to get all those Bible verses in there. So if you want that, then that's fine. But I could totally see that about the animal testing and everything like that, like not just saying no. So yes,
and sometimes, and it's interesting because when I looked at that client or colleague, I should say, and as she's dealing with those potential clients, she's so firm, and yet sometimes, again, for me, if I'm talking, I might not say something if there's a conversation going on, and I'd say, what is it about me? I mean, when you think about it, this is our creator, someone who loves us so immensely and wants the best for us, that he sent his son to die on the cross for us, and why don't I stand up for that? That's in the past that I've kind of questioned. That's why I launched this podcast show, so that we could get out there and spread the good news. And so, it's just a great reminder again, is to check in our values. If something doesn't feel right, we bring it to prayer. Then we can have the decision that, no, this is not the best client for me. And we can have that conversation honestly, truthfully. We don't have to be nasty about it. We can just say, look, wish you all of the best in your business, but I'm not the right person to work with you. And I'm sure that's the approach that you took too. Yes.
Yeah. It kind of came about to where other things had gone on, and it was best to go separate ways anyway. But yeah, that's definitely, like, I don't feel comfortable doing this. And so, yeah, it just happened to where it worked out for both of us, and it was still, it was a very good situation for both of us ending on good terms. So it worked out.
Absolutely. And I'm sure when that door closed, what often happens is other multiple opportunities and blessings came your way too, because you really stood firm, and I'm sure that was noticed in heaven for sure. Let's talk about how giving thanks, even in the hard times, can lead to supernatural peace. It can often be challenging as Christians to think I should be thankful for the hard times, but it's over and over again stated in the Bible that we are to do that. Speak a bit more about that, and have there been times in your life and your business maybe too that you've really seen the hand of God work supernaturally?
Yes. Throughout my husband's back surgeries, he provided for us. God provided for us through many different ways, through our church and through my husband's family, and they were able to help us at sometimes, and that was so much of a blessing. And then also, my husband was involved in a train wreck. So when he did go back to work, he was back to work for a couple of years, and he owned his own semi-truck. He owned his own business, and he was driving on a job site, and there was a train that was coming on. The guy who was at the job site was directing him to come on toward the train track and just come on over it. And I guess neither one of them saw the train that was coming, and there were no signals, no alarms or lights or anything. And he pulled on to the train track, and the train hit his semi-truck. So it totaled the semi-truck, and I had no idea that had gone on. And he called me and said that he had just been hit by a train, but he was okay. He just said it very nonchalantly, like,
by the way.
that's normal. But no, I was like, okay. So after that, he had quite a journey getting home, but it was far away from home. It wasn't anywhere near where we lived, but he got home, and I had just signed up for a high-level coaching program at that time. And like I said, the timing is usually never right. God has a sense of humor, I think, because it's never right. But God knows what he's doing. He has a plan for us, just like it says in Jeremiah 29:11. He has a plan for our lives. And through that coaching program that I had signed up for, I was doing a lot of mindset work that I hadn't really done before. And I definitely did it from a Christian perspective and put my own spin on it from the biblical perspective. But it really helped to give thanks. And that's what it had me do. It had me give thanks to God, because that was the only way we were going to get through it. There was no point in sulking that he didn't have a semi truck anymore. It was totaled. And yes, he had insurance on it, but that insurance didn't cover a new semi truck until about 2 months after it happened. So we were without income for 2 months after that. And we just both had peace about it, and we weren't worried or stressed out, and we knew that God would provide for us, because what else were we going to do?
I love that. And I think that can often be a testimony, that, I think actions are so much more louder than words can ever share a story or a testimony. And for you and your husband having that real sense of peace, and it's the real sense of peace when you get some shocking, terrible news that, we know that we are safe in the arms of Jesus, and that he will always be there, even with, if I think back to when I just had my first child, I had a second child, but we found out early on that, he was not healthy and he ended up dying at birth. But it was in those situations that, yes, we are sad, and yes, it's not a nice experience that anyone can go through, but we know without a shadow of a doubt that it is okay, and then when we look at it those ways, when we look back, often those terrible, terrible traumatic situations are developing in us because of his strength, a strength in us that we need for the next season of our life, or maybe even to be able to support people, others who are experiencing that and who may not even know that there's someone out there that actually loves them so very much. Have you found that too, that through situations and struggles that you've gone through and leaning into him, you can now be the light that shines in other people who are struggling as well? Yes?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
And it builds on character, and he knows what he's doing, even if it seems like the most awkward circumstance at the time. Yes.
It's like, seriously, what's going on? Yeah, absolutely. I've had such great conversations with people on this podcast about, circumstances that you just want to throw up your hand and kind of go, what's going on? And even last, I don't know if you watched Gigi Denard's interview, which was one just a couple before you, she was saying that there are circumstances that have really allowed her, when she steps back, to see, and I'm sure you can see this in your own life too, that there is a real strategy going on there. There are players, there are people, well, when I say players, people that are being guided and, to cross paths and have conversations and things like that, that no matter how much work, how many hours that we put in, how much social media that we do, there's just no way that we could have ever hoped to have those opportunities. And that's what happens, when God puts his super with our supernatural things happen. So I would love you to just share with people today what services that you offer, a little bit more about your business, but then also too, how can people get in contact with you?
Sure. So I am a business coach for Christian women who want to start or grow their online businesses. And I serve mostly new coaches, consultants, digital marketers, and virtual assistants, and pretty much any online service-based business. And I really love to take them from a mindset from a biblical perspective as the foundation and knowing who you are in Christ, all the way through to building your website and launching your funnel and Facebook ads.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how I help people and kind of hold their hands in the process of doing that.
Yeah.
And you can find me on my website at meganpennypacker.com.
Fantastic. And we'll put all of your social media handles and the website as well on our show notes. So if you want to click through to our show notes, all you need to do is go to ambitiousentrepreneurnetwork.com/TCE42, and all of those details on how to connect with Megan will be there. And as well as a video version of this interview. So if you're listening to the audio podcast and you want to actually see Megan share her testimony and her information today, then certainly go across there and check that out. One of the things that I do for all of the guests, similar to what you do, is you say a prayer for all of your clients too. Could I extend that opportunity to you? May I say a word of prayer for you too, Megan?
Yes, please.
Fantastic. All right, let's pray. Father, thank you for the time that we have spent with Megan, where she shared her testimony and some really good strategies and information that we can use to grow our business. Father, we just ask for your continued blessing and favor on her business, on her family, as she continues to grow her business towards a kingdom business. Father, sometimes business can be, as we said, there can be so many obstacles, there can be so many challenges, yet we know, we are promised that when we lean into you, you will let our paths be straight. So we really pray that if there's anyone watching or listening today that it is struggling with hardships, we just pray that they too can find peace, real peace, supernatural peace that is promised, and that we have experienced and that Megan has experienced as well. And we ask this in the precious name of Jesus. Amen. Thank you so much, Megan. It's been an absolute delight speaking with you. As you said, the things that happen in our lives can certainly direct us down the path to which, God really wants us to continue to contribute and really help others. And so great that you've been able to do that too, and now helping other Christian women who are just starting out in business get their business off the ground too, because that's a really difficult time and a period of a business, isn't it? And that startup phase. So having someone there to support them, I think, must be incredibly beneficial for them. And so, thank you for the work that you continue to do.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. It's been a delight getting to know you more and just having a conversation with you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You've been listening to the Christian Entrepreneurs Podcast, brought to you by BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. Changing the world one message at a time. Do you feel called to influence real change with your message? Join our supportive community of like-minded influencers, thought leaders, and disruptors at www.BeTheDifferenceMovement.com. That's BeTheDifferenceMovement.com.